Hello, welcome to the Glass Tower Top 5. It's Thanksgiving, the week of November 24th, 2016. I'm Rainey Knudson.
I'm Christina Rees.
We have a special top 5 for your family members. What do we do at Thanksgiving? We get out of the house and we take our family members and we drag them to go see art.
So number 5 is for your nieces and nephews, your grade school kids in your group. It's at the Greater Denton Arts Council. It's called Heroes in the Making, and it was curated by Josh Rose. He did a great job. It is basically, by using comic books, new and historical comic books, it's a walkthrough of how you construct a comic book from start to finish. How the publishers do it, how the artists do it, how the writers do it, the inking, the coloring, the narratives, all of it. And so it goes in stages, and he's using these beautiful panels from all of these, real panels from these great comic book makers and publishers, and he splits it into categories, and it's very entertaining. It's very engaging. I've sort of been in and out of comics over the course of my life. I haven't been recently, but I was very entertained and very impressed. It's very visually engaging as well. And then there's like a station where you can sit down and read great old comic books. He's got a nice collection there for the kids to sit down and peruse.
For the Marvel fans in your family.
Absolutely. There's plenty of Stan Lee in this show, yeah.
All right, number 4 is for your brother who just came out to your parents. It's Queer Terror Tories. At the UT Visual Arts Center in Austin. This was curated by their student group. It's called the Center Space Project, and it's where they allow students to curate shows. I like this show. It's got Ryan Hawk, who's an MFA candidate right now at UT Austin, an artist called E. Jane, a collective called The Highest Closet. All of these artists are doing really interesting, I think, performance work and live work. None of them are making objects or conceptual things in galleries that I'm all that interested in, but I'm very interested in the performance work, and it looks very good, and it's about anti-assimilation for the LGBTQ community. So all of these artists are dealing with that. E. Jane had a wonderful statement where they said, "I am not an identity artist just because I am a black artist with multiple selves." Yeah.
All right, number 3 this week is for the teenage skater in your group. It's KAWS at the Fort Worth Modern. KAWS, K-A-W-S, the street artist, the graffiti artist who has kind of risen up through the ranks, and now he's also a fine artist. There was a focus show of his work at the Fort Worth Modern just 4 years ago. This is a big retrospective. He's like 43 years old. He got famous for doing graffiti art in New York primarily. He's Brooklyn-based. He's worked with, for years and years, he's actually collaborated with a lot of Japanese design companies and toy companies and that sort of thing. So that's definitely infiltrated his work. He has these characters who he uses as repeat motifs. These are some giant sculptures, some big splashy wall pieces. It's very pop art. It's very graphic. It's very visually pleasing. You know, what can I say?
Did we need a retrospective this soon after the focus show?
I don't know what.
Right. Number 2 for your cousin who's a college student who marched in the recent protests after the election. Friendly Fire at the Station Museum of Contemporary Art in Houston. This is for the Houston Sculpture Month, which is turning into months at this point, but it's all sculpture and it's all Houston artists. It's a very, very good group of people. I don't know how literal the Friendly Fire theme is, but there are definitely people who are working with imagery of weapons and guns and who are more didactic. People like Noah Edmondson, Forrest Prince, Robert Hodge. And then there are people in the show who are doing much more abstract, sort of gentle, delicate work. Regina Ague, Kaneem Smith. Kaneem Smith, by the way, her sort of wax encaustic pieces, sculptural pieces, are currently on view at Devon Borden Gallery, and they are truly stunning. This is a great show, and Station Museum is always good at protest art. That is what they do.
So number 1 this week is for the grandmothers out there. We're going to give you a couple of kinds of choices since not all grandmothers are alike.
Yes, if your grandmother is Dominique de Menil, then you should take her down to the Galveston Artist Residency in Galveston for the Scott Gilbert show. Scott Gilbert was a cartoonist in Houston for the Old Public News, which was our alt zine, which then became Free Press Houston. But Scott did this comic strip from 1988 to 2003, I want to say. I could be wrong on that end date. And it was a weekly strip, and it was all about the Houston art scene and what an archive it is now. And so this show was put together by our local comics enthusiast and zine enthusiast, Robert Boyd. There's a series that chronicles a very famous episode in Houston when the curator, Walter Hopps, stole a painting from the Blaffer Gallery to make a point to the then director of the Blaffer Gallery, that her security wasn't any good. And it was a painting by Julian Schnabel. And this painting never resurfaced. For years, it would go around and it would appear at various artist parties. And then copies of it started to appear. And it's become almost like an urban legend. But it really did happen, and he really did do this. And so we are running on Glass Tire for the next few weeks that particular segment of the True Artist Tales. But if you want to see all of them, or not all of them, but a lot of them in person, go down to Galveston and see them. If your grandmother is not Dominique de Menil, take her to the Monet show at the Kimball, which is very, very beautiful.
Sure. This is a service top 5, so we have to stick that one in there, right at the top. Go see Monet.
Honestly, there's a ton of shows up in Texas right now. The museums all have nice shows. A lot of the galleries. Check out our listings. This is a good weekend to go out and take a deep breath of air. The weather's going to be nice, and you can go see some art.
Go see some art.